Now, you've spoken about the pledge card, and presumably there's a space on that card to put down my name and how much I want to give. And for some folk, that might feel a little bit awkward because they may feel, well, Jesus said that you shouldn't let your left hand know what your right hand's doing. What would you say to someone who had that concern?
So Jesus's comment in the Sermon on the Mount, where he says, don't let your left hand know what your right hand's doing when you're giving, was a great corrective to those who would give in order to show off and boast of their generosity. It was really an act of self-righteousness.
Yes.
So others would give them a pat on the back. However, pledging is something quite different. Pledging is you making a personal commitment, holding yourself accountable to your own best intention. And in that way, it's not done for the affirmation of any other particular person. It's really a personal commitment between you and the Lord. And that's why we actually still ask people to put their name as signature. It's optional on the card, you'll see. But we encourage people to actually put their name on it because it's a way to symbolise that personal commitment. It's a way to make that real. It also gives us a little bit of help because it helps us to not be confused by false cards, by false positives, by people putting down good intentions on the spur of the moment. But if you put your name to it, then we can say, you know what, we can take this card seriously. And that really helps us.
It's hard to build a budget on good intentions.
That's right. It helps us with our planning going forward, which we've never really been able to do up until now. So we're really anticipating and hoping that this is going to provide us some real positive feedback for our planning for the future.
And this is part of what we were saying at our annual general meeting, our vestry meeting, when we reported back in question time, if I remember correctly, to some of the folk who were saying, look, what are you doing to be more intentional about making sure that we're well staffed, that we're meeting our budget, and these kinds of things like the pledge card is really part of that intentionality. So we're kind of making good as well on what we said we would do.
Yeah, that's right. And in the new year, in 2020, we're going to have a regular monthly update about our finances and, God willing, the progress that we're able to make as we all chip in together. And so you'll be able to get regular report backs, any congregation member will be, on the blessing that we're hoping and asking God for as a result of these pledges.
Scott, for a new Christian, someone who's new to the faith, who's never really considered giving, you've underlined, I think, not just that that's the sort of thing that Christians ought to do, but that it's a great blessing, and that giving to gospel work actually gives us great joy.
Yeah, absolutely. And it gets hard and there's pressure.
Yeah.
And the temptation is to let your giving be the first thing that you dial back on when the crunch comes. And that's a constant battle that we face. I think everyone faces as a Christian, especially when the climate is so tricky financially at the moment. A lot of people are feeling the strain. But I guess a big thing I keep trying to remind myself in terms of giving is that giving is an expression of faith. It's an expression of how much we trust God, because God asks us to be generous and to worship together as a church family, not just with our songs and our prayers, but also with our financial giving. And so if God is good to his word, and if I can trust God on that, then my money is in good hands. I guess that's the other thing to realise too, is that it's not my money.
No,
that's the other thing.
No, it isn't.
As soon as something arrives in my account, I think, yes, I've got this. But actually I don't have this.
Yeah, you're a manager of the resources God has given you.
Everything we have is on loan, and we are to be good stewards with what God has given us. So I guess that's the other thought that I try to keep coming back to help me not get cold feet and back out prematurely from my giving and my generosity. Is that I am a steward of God's money, and so I can give with a real sense of openness and anticipation to see what God will be doing with that investment.